Hello, everyone, and welcome to the post-match. Holy mother of God! Thanks to Peacock. Uh, what a game that was! What an ending that was from this Liverpool in a nutshell. If anybody asks you what it feels like to be a Liverpool fan, you can be like, "This is it." Minutes and hours of frustration, and it's explode. And honestly, probably same for Nunez as well, even though he was not there the entire time to frustrate it. But we're gonna have a lot of people on. We're actually might have Glenn on, who's the Brentford fan, obviously, on our Premier League panel show, and we might have some like fans hopping on and off as well. Serzi's here right now. Salim is here. Salim, you called the score, kind of, sorta, but I don't think this is how you kind of envisioned it unfolding.
No, not at all. I forgot his name. The other one that joined us this morning. I'm having a brain fart. He said it would be a nervy 3-1. Nervy 2-0. I mean, it was. And then the whole debacle, right, with Peacock. Like, holy crap, what a game!
Yeah, that was crazy because my Peacock froze, and I'm assuming for everybody when Elliot got the ball and passed it through. And I was like, dude, I think that's like a perfect ball to go through, but I can't tell. And it froze, and I'm like, are you freaking serious? And then I see the Discord. Discord is always like 15 seconds ahead of my Peacock anyway, so I usually like check only occasionally so I don't get spoilers. And then before you know it, we get the double. Serzi, I'm assuming you were saying you were already having the heart attack. You were having the heart attack throughout the game, probably. But how about that Nunez kid, huh?
Look, I had my pills. I was taking my pills. I was like, what, 37 shots, and we haven't got to go. And I was telling you off air, like my son is going to this his friend's Kinte, and I'm like, I'm trying to watch a game. My wife's making him tie his tie. They're both in my way, and I'm just like, look, just freaking get away. And like, I'm tying his tie, and then Nunez scores, and I'm jumping around like a loon. And then because I was streaming it off my phone because I realized Peacock's on faster than when I watch it on TV. So I thought I must have knocked something off my TV. Right? No, it was like my wife's looking at me like she's about to have me committed.
To be fair,
my phone
it is a little on your wife. My wife would know better not to give me a tie and a human being as I'm watching a Liverpool game.
I know.
90th
You
minute.
think my wife would know?
Make it out.
And literally, my watch, I'm hearing something ringing. My watch is calling emergency services saying, oh, we think you've had a hard fall. We're calling emergency services. Like, all shit broke loose, like, in that 5 minutes. And then finally we get the stream back up, and Nunez is running away scoring a second. I'm like, what the fuck did that happen?
I literally paused and I went, yeah, I saw Nunez celebrating. Then I look in the corner, it says 2. And I'm like, holy cow. But let's bring some special guests over here. Glenn, the Brentford fan from our panel show, and the new Manchester United co-manager, Amarim, is with us. Welcome. The Sobos I want to be, but actually Amarim Anan is with us. Glenn, let's start with you, man. I know that had to be a tough ending for you to watch. As excited as we are, is probably as devastated as you are. But it did feel like well-deserved for Liverpool in the grand scheme of things.
Yeah, I mean, it's disappointing from us, right? From a Brentford perspective, I think we played really well across the 90 minutes. We pushed you guys hard, right? It was stressful for you, and as you were saying before I hopped on, and stressful for me as well. I think there were loads of great individual performances. I think Keane Lewis-Potter, left back, he's a winger converted to left back this season. He did a really good job with Mo Salah. I mean, for me, that was one of Salah's quieter games. I thought that shot he had was going to go in, a couple of minutes before the goals. I thought that was bottom corner. But what was great from a Brentford perspective is we had so many strong individual performances. I mean, the centre-backs, Collins has been immense this season. You're familiar with Sepp van den Berg, of course. He's been brilliant. He looks like a really shrewd piece of business. I think he's developed quicker than we were expecting. He's a rock at our defence. And I think they dealt with the threats pretty well. Obviously, you had a stack of corners, and as you had mentioned in the Discord, if you had a kind of set piece coach as good as Arsenal, then maybe you're scoring a couple there. You got a Gabriel in the middle, then maybe you nick a goal there, but you didn't, right? And it gets to 90 minutes, same as you guys. I was watching on Peacock. It froze when Trent passed it for the assist, so I heard the commentary, didn't see the goal. By the time I fixed it, it said 2-0. And I thought that was an error. I thought that was an issue with the stream again. I was like, there's no way it's 2-0. They just scored. And of course, we're piling players up, and that's how it goes. I liked our attitude throughout the game. I think we played some really good football. We showed what we're about. More solid at the back than I was expecting. And Mbumo, I think, was the best attacker on the field whenever he got the ball. He put you guys under pressure. I wish his end product had been a bit better. I think what was lacking from a Brentford point of view was a bit of end product in the final third, right? We had a lot of shots kind of straight at Alisson. We had a lot of deflected shots. We never really created enough clear-cut chances that you'd say as a fan, that should have been a goal. We never really made Alisson work throughout the 90 minutes. That was probably my main takeaway. And you guys had the subs, right? You brought on some quality and Darwin Nunez. And apparently Nunez was the one that did it. That was someone put in the Brentford Griffin Park Grapevines, our forum that I'm on, and at 0-0 about 60 minutes in, somebody put in the forum, Nunez is going to come on and get a winner, isn't he? That's kind of how it goes at Brentford. And what happened? But great game. Devastated to lose it so late, but I think we showed once again what we're about. And we got a late equalizer against Man City. I saw us maybe nicking something at the end here, but when you guys scored so late, it's very hard to recover from that.
Yeah, it felt like a goal was going to come. Anan, I see that you're digging out all your old Nunez backgrounds over there that you had put away for the last 6 months. I remember last year they were constantly back there, but so it looks like you dug into the archives and brought those out. What do you make of that?
Listen, just happy for the guy, honestly. It's you saw his emotions, you saw what it meant to him to get the first goal, and obviously to get the second. But even after the match, you saw everybody just going to him and hugging him and sending him to the away fans just to let him know we got your back. So I think I'm happy for him. I'd like to see this continue. I'd like to see him build on this. And that's the problem. Every time he gets a goal, we say we'd like to see him build on this, but then he goes off for 6 months and then he gets one and then it's like, he's going to build on this. But you know what? He's going to build on this.
I'm not doing that. I put it on Discord. I am not doing this. But...
I think he's going to build on this. And I'm just genuinely happy for him. The 3 points are very important, but I'm more of like the personnel kind of guy, and I'm just happy for Darwin. And a bit of class there from Trent to go to be the first person to jump on his back and give him a kiss and hug him, because just 10 minutes earlier we saw Trent just flopping his arms about him. So I thought that made up for it really, and it was a class move, and just him taking off the jersey, pointing at the badge, and then kissing the badge just says, "Please, hermano, no Saudi Arabia." So I think so overall.
Sergi, you're one of the founders of the Nunez Haters Club and participate in weekly meetings. So what do you make of that? I mean, I don't want to say because I'm worried we're going to do it all over again. I just don't want. It's like a bad relationship. You keep like breaking up, coming back together, breaking up, coming back together. So it's kind of like I don't want to go there, but Robbie Earl was giving FSG ideas in the post-match, saying like, "Oh, he's like a new signing," because that's something that FSG would do. I mean, it has to still be a good springboard for him, and I don't even care if it is not. This could be a game we look back 2 months from now and say that's the game we sealed it. Especially if Villa pulls off something. And I just saw Arsenal's starting lineup. There's all kinds of shuffling going around. Not to mention, this is a huge devastating kick in the balls for an Arsenal player as you head out there, because there's from thinking, hey, we could bring about the 2 today, seeing those goals, that's demoralizing as you come out to a game. But what do you make of like the whole Nunez thing? Is this the moment we're waiting for?
Probably not, but he gave me. I mean, I swung the other way of Nunez towards me. I think I'm the last man standing who still wanted him at the club. But I mean, he gave me my two of the best moments last season, and my knees are paying for it. With the Newcastle game and the Forest game. And then today, again, messed up my knee this week at the gym. And again, it's just messing up my knees. I should be able to sue him for that. But I think this is, and I feel for Glenn, because I do like Brentford. Also I grew up in London and I hate all London teams except for Brentford. They're one of my favorite London teams. And I feel, if it's going to happen, it happened to, I'd rather it happen to Tottenham or Spurs or Chelsea. But I think the defeat, I think the win for us is more of a kick in the nuts for Arsenal than Brentford. But Brentford, they can get on with it, and but for Arsenal, it's just, and I can just imagine AFTV just absolutely losing their shit. Of all the players to do it as on Nunez, it's just and this is why we keep him. This is why we don't let him go in January. And and it's like that. It's like that Divock Origi. How many times over the seasons, I'll just get rid of him, and then he came back a legend. He's won games last second or last minute, and it's another. It's like just echoes of Divock Origi. And yeah, hopefully this is a game that we can look back on and think this is what's okay. I mean, Nunez has shown he hasn't gone on from moments like this. But for us, in the bigger picture, in the bigger scheme of things, I think this is going to be one of them games that we look back on and think, yes, this is what turned it.
See, I think most of
the late winners we remember are all Nunez, right? So it's Forest, Newcastle, 2 today. I think every single late winner we remember recently has been Nunez. So he's back. He's back.
Nunez is more like it, but no. Okay, let me ask you this actually, Glenn, as one from the outside, because when Sir Z mentioned Divock Origi, I don't know, maybe because of our experiences. I'm just saying this as myself. I don't know if every Liverpool fan feels like this, but when Divock was coming in, you just had like a, oh, here we go kind of a thing. Even though he was not the best player, he had those moments and he found those moments. With Nunez, we're almost like, I don't have the same feeling, I'll be honest. But it is something different that you throw out there, and it does feel like, I mean, it's all comedy. It's like, we either say Gomez for the winner or we say Nunez for the winner of the chats. And it's more like a punchline more than anything else. As an outsider, like when you see Nunez coming on, I know you said you guys mentioned it, but it's mentioned as a joke, right? Or is it really like, holy shit, they got Nunez coming in?
So for me, it's both, right? It was a joke because he is so out of form, and we know, how inconsistent and chaotic a player is as he is. But for me, right, if I'm a goalkeeper, but if I was a centre back and we had defended as resolutely as we had, all your shots, you're into the 30s for shots by then, corner after corner after corner. If I was a tired centre back who has put in 100%, which we had done for coming up to 90 minutes, and the player coming off the bench is tall, is fast, can score all sorts of goals, right? That's the fun about Darwin Nunez. He's like the Joker. You never know what he's gonna do. Could be a miss from 5 yards, could be a diving header, could be anything. And for me, he does have the attributes, as we all know, that's why he's at the club, to be a top player. And he also has the attributes to really trouble defenses late into games. I mean, we bought on Schade, right? We bought on Kevin Schade. It was an attacking sub because we thought that his pace in behind would trouble you guys. Obviously Robertson had come on. It was great to draw that early yellow card, right, for your fullback early on in the game. And from a Brentford view, Ruslev's on a yellow card. Collins, Van den Berg, Lewis Potter are so tired. For me, he's a nightmare to have coming off the bench. And we said it tongue-in-cheek 60 minutes because probably none of us really necessarily expected it to still be 0-0 coming into 90 minutes, right? I thought there would have been a couple of goals by then. So for me, yeah, we can joke about his inconsistency. He's chaotic. He's frustrating, right? He is the definition of a frustrating player because you all know he's got quality. I've seen him score loads of great goals. I enjoy watching him. He's sometimes in my fantasy team because he has quality. But today he showed, he can also be clinical. He can get in the right areas. Yeah, the cross was a little bit fortuitous because, it takes a deflection first, comes back to Trent, but he's in the right area and he can score from there, right? Second goal, clinical finish. So to bring on somebody with that skill set so late on in the game, yeah. And maybe, it shows, well, why wasn't he on earlier? Perhaps maybe it shows that as well.
Anan, I know you got to run, but give me your final thoughts, your final praises for Nunez on your way out. Actually, speaking of your boy, that you aim to look like more and more, have probably one of his best games in a long time. Even though he didn't get the goal, I thought Szoboszlai was really good on the ball as well. But yeah, I know you have to run, go sell some more mattresses back there before everybody runs over in Michigan to the Lions game. So give me your final take.
I think Sobo had one of the best games we've seen him in red or in black per se. And I am quite impressed with the beard transplant that he got. That was the sexiest thing I've seen in a very long time. Obviously, after how good and sexy his hair is. Putting that aside, of course, irrelevant. No, it's very relevant. But good game for everybody. So happy to see Chiesa get some minutes. Odd to see him come in on the left, but then he drifted slowly to the middle, which was nice to see. Hoping to see more of Chiesa, hoping to see more of Darwin, and of course, hoping to see more of that sexy little devil, Dominic Szoboszlai. Top of the league, top of the table. Everything's going to be all right. And I got to go because I got people wanting mattresses because they got to make mini Lions before the Lions game. So you guys have a lovely day. I got the Szoboszlai haircut. We're ready to go. I'm off to Turkey to get a beard. So we'll be fine. You guys have a great day. Take care.
See ya.
Gordo says, I got to talk about defense too. Cannot believe we didn't concede. Yeah, I mean, we talked about it before the game in the pre-match where Gordo was on too. Like, we kind of expected to go. Salim, let me ask you this. And I know it's very difficult, but take away those two last goals and the game ends 0-0. Like, how would you have looked at this performance if you don't get those late goals?
Performance was okay, but disappointment, I think, is the biggest word, for something like that. I was thinking right before the Peacock, shit the bed, I was thinking, oh no, another draw. Like, I can't believe it, and like you, my phone just kind of buzzed and I looked down. It's like Darwin 90+1. I'm like, okay, that's a good sign. But yeah, I think overall, Brentford's a dangerous team. We all know that. And Sergi, mentioned that he likes, watching them. And I do too, and Buemo and Wisa. I mean, there's a lot of good players on that team. But I thought, when you look at it from a statistics standpoint, we deserved it. However, that's not the way soccer works. And this game could have easily been, 1-0 the other way or 1-1. I mean, there was a lot of chances. It was a fun game to watch, but the 2-0 is the biggest thing. 3 points is the biggest thing. And now Arsenal, against Villa, who's, can be up and down, but generally pretty solid team. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. The game is probably not the game we wanted at times because it did feel like a basketball game. And whenever Brentford, but that's what I mean when we play a team like that. I mean, we talked about this in the pre-match, Sergi. That's what's different at Brentford is they like going forward. Like Forest is like, well, I guess we got to score a goal. Let's go forward here and there. But Brentford likes going forward. So you can see when that team counters, they counter with a lot of bodies. And that's when you can catch them on the flip side if they turn that ball over. And like you said, Glenn, earlier, there were times misplaced passes or shots that were blocked and just like trickled onto alley. And those are the times that I was like, now, this is when we can get him because you have 4 or 5 guys up top because otherwise they have 10 guys behind the ball. I mean, would you have been? Obviously, we would have been disappointed, but what would have been the biggest disappointment, I guess, if we don't get a goal? Because I thought overall there were a lot of good performances. I mean, I'm looking at the starting 11. There were a lot of solid performances, just no end product until Nunez shows up.
Yeah, I mean, it was a good match, and even for neutral, it was a good match. And like I say, it's a shame it happened to Brentford. I mean, obviously, I want to beat Brentford every time we play, but they're just a good team to watch. Like Thomas Frank, the players. I really hope they make it into Europe this season. But yeah, I mean, we had 38, 39 shots before Nunez scored. And we were lucky not to be behind Brentford. I think the first 5-10 minutes of the game where that ball fizzed across Alisson's goal, and no Brentford player luckily was there to put it in. Muemba, such a class player. Like he reminds you of Traore, but with better skill, or better end product. He's so strong and he's so fast, and if Salah does go, I'd love to get him. I mean, he's such a quality player, and I'm glad Van der Berg has found his place. He deserves a good team, good manager to play with. And Carvalho, I think I'm so glad we got rid of him. And I think we ripped off Brentford for that. But yeah, I mean, then you go back to Slot, like the subs, you keep showing it. He makes these subs and then pull off. Elliot came on, and then Chiesa, he made some impact, and Nunez just, last person you expected to make a big impact. And I think Anan was saying like minutes before, Trent was losing his shit with him, and just straight after, typical Nunez, he just goes and scores 2, and it's just, it's the life of being a Liverpool fan, I guess.
I think that, some of the Nunez frustration there, my initial reaction when he took the shot was like, oh man, like, there were other options, but I was more pissed at Trent's reaction than I was at the shot afterwards. So kind of like, let's him get away with it. Because, you're putting in a guy at that point to make an impact in the game. So he is going to do that. He is going to like crank up some shots. I mean, Chiesa was doing the same thing. Sometimes like forcing the ball in a bit more and stuff. But that's kind of what you get sometimes with, when you make a substitution trying to get an impact, because he is trying to make a stamp on the game and stuff. But Glenn, let me ask you this, because, as I was saying earlier, I mean, there were times I never expected Brentford to be this defensive. Do you think it was almost too defensive and a little bit, like if they were a bit more adventurous, maybe left at least one or two outlets up top, they would have probably had a goal? Because before in the pre-match, we all said, yeah, we're probably not going to get a clean sheet. But I wasn't expecting to be this far behind the ball at all times almost.
Yeah, it's a great question because, we watched the Arsenal game together, right, on the channel, and that was a issue Maka had, especially, right, we just seemed a little bit too negative. I think today, for me watching it, especially comparing it to the Arsenal game, it felt a bit more balanced. I wasn't hugely, like, I guess, disappointed by the way we dropped deep. Like, yeah, we gave you guys spaces. Even Konate, right, in the first half kind of came in. He had the space for a shot. But what I would say is we reduced you guys with our formation, with our tactics. We reduced you guys to pretty low quality efforts, right? So look at the stats. You had 37 shots. All right. Shows a dominant team, right? You guys had 8 on target. We had 11 shots, but 6 on target. So I think for me, that really shows that tactically, yeah, we're expecting to have a high volume of shots, but if we're trying to restrict you to less quality ones, then that works for us. And similarly to what you said earlier about you trying to hit us on the break, that's also how we play, right? It's trickier to do at home, especially when you have a reputation as a goal-scoring side now. It's trickier to play on the counter in front of your home fans. But I think Brentford fans are patient and smart enough to know that Thomas Frank is setting our team up the best way he can with the personnel, right? Against a team of your quality. If we had pushed forward, I think the co-commentator said it on Peacock, because some of the Brentford fans in the first half were kind of shouting for us to push up and press you guys higher up. You have so much quality on the ball. You have so many players that can pick apart a defense. And what I liked about what we did tactically, especially in the first half, we played through your press pretty well. Now, there were a few loose passes, and I sent a few texts during the game. I said, I think when we concede, it will probably be through a misplaced pass, because we do that quite a lot. The kind of Southampton style of overplaying. But when it worked, we managed to move it from Flecken to Van den Berg to maybe Damsgaard within 2-3 passes. And suddenly all your forwards were the wrong side of the ball, right? Probably one of your midfielders too. So I think tactically it was very solid from us. I didn't think it was too defensive. I think I am just disappointed that, similar to you guys, we couldn't convert some really promising breaks, moments that probably had you guys with your heart in your mouth watching, into real, again, high quality chances. It was funny. It was a high intensity game of high quality, mainly in the defense and midfield. But we never really saw that translate into the final third across the 90 minutes. Like, it took you guys, obviously, 90 minutes to really get in dangerous areas and find the back of the net. So, yeah, I think game plan was good for me. Individual performances were magnificent. Christian Norgard, if you guys saw him in midfield, he bossed it. Yarmouk, young guy, Ukrainian player from the B team. Did he look out of place against your world-class midfield? Absolutely not. He was great. So on an individual level, I'm delighted with everyone. It's such a sucker punch, isn't it? Any team, any game to concede so late, if the tactics have just about worked up until then.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. I did expect him to lose the ball more, to be honest with you, as during build-up. So that did not happen. I felt like there were a couple of times where we won the ball there. I thought there would be a lot more of those instances. So our press, I don't think, was anywhere. And we kind of talked about the Salim as we head into the game, right? Like our press up top being important. That's why Diaz is probably better than Nunez up top and stuff. Which we'll talk about Diaz too. But let me ask you this: take Nunez out of the equation, because obviously it's going to be, man of the match by default kind of a deal. But give me another player that you thought, Salim, that was really solid, and almost if you had a regular 3-1 win in regular time, they would have gotten the glory.
I mean, I think Szoboszlai definitely was good, but, watching Konate play and just continue to use his physicality, and he's fast, and I'm just enjoying watching him play. I think he's really a key figure in the defense and in the team because he really solidifies the back. Virgil, we can talk about Virgil all day long, and we know how good he is. But Konate's partnership with him is really solid, and I thought he was all over the place. He was, using his body. I think his end product when it comes to a pass, is needs to develop a little bit. But overall, I thought Konate and Szoboszlai really played a really solid game, and definitely I would say Konate though.
Yeah, I think if he can kind of work a little bit of Matip into his game, I feel like actually even Kwanzaa is better at that in terms of like driving with the ball.
Yeah.
But he did put, I think, the ball to Diaz, where Diaz was a winger playing center forward. That came from Konate. That was a good ball. But yeah, it's rare when he gets the ball. It's just he's like, where's Trent, where's Mac, and stuff like that. I'll ask the same question to you, Serzi. Who would have been your man of the match if we took care of business earlier instead of leaving us the blood pressure pills?
Szoboszlai was amazing. It was one of his better games. Probably the best game for us. And he played a great game against West Ham as well recently. But Gravenberch, that kid, I can't believe we had him last season and we didn't put him there. Starts playing him. I mean, he's like, and Fabinho was one of my favorite players, and he's like on that level. And that turn he does, and when he gets a ball, he buys so much space for himself. He doesn't slow the game down. He doesn't keep the ball when he stops the flow. He just without even touching the ball, he's got control of that ball, and he's so key for us. He's definitely one of the biggest success stories this season. So yeah, it'll be a flip up between Gravenberch and Szoboszlai.
No, I thought in the first half, there were a couple of moments he struggled. I was saying it's like a cornerback that jumped the route sometimes, and then he would miss the ball. And I'm like, man, the legs are catching up to him. But what I like, compared to Fabinho, I think what happens is when he gets the ball, people would crowd Fabinho because he didn't have that athleticism. I think he gets like an automatic respect and space when he gets the ball because he can go anywhere. He's like a Gakpo playing defensive midfield at times, like the way he plays and how comfortable he is on the ball and stuff. But as we wrap up over here, let's do some parting thoughts. Glenn, as the visitor over here, I mean, I think as I think Salim was saying, I can't remember who was saying, in the comments that obviously it's this is a tougher blow for Arsenal than Brentford. But as a Brentford, when having it almost feels like Brentford has a lot of these games, right? Like winning, but not getting to playing winning football, but not ultimately winning. Does that add to the frustration, or it's just things to build up on as you go forward?
So what I think is frustrating about this period for us as Brentford fans, and there's a split in the fan base about it, but I would say we have rested key players against Newcastle in the quarterfinal of the EFL Cup. And hey, they might have beaten our full-strength team, who knows? We also rested players against Plymouth, a game I said on our PL panel I wasn't expecting to lose regardless of the team we put out, maybe slightly arrogantly because they were the foot of the championship table. So what we've done is we've sacrificed 2 cups in the space of a couple of weeks to get 5 points from 6 games in the league. And the 3 points, the only win, as good as it was against a pretty pathetic Southampton team. So what I think I find frustrating about this period as a Brentford fan is, we have said, you know what, cups aren't the priority, league is the priority, and I understand that. We don't have the squad depth. Look at the quality that you guys brought off the bench. These are world-class players. I mean, Curtis Jones has been brilliant as well this season. I love watching him. And it hasn't really translated to results in the league. Yeah, we nicked an equalizer against Man City. Great moment, great performance. Yes, we've put in another top performance. And I think to answer your question as well, start of the season, all those away games we lost, we put in pretty good performances, including at Anfield for 60, 70, 80 minutes. We've raised those performances to about 90 minutes now against Man City, who were lucky to get away with a point despite a 2-goal lead, and with you guys. And there is a disappointment that we can't translate quality performances against top sides into points. And the fact, in order to play our best team against you guys today, Man City a couple of days ago, Arsenal, the game we watched, which was a real letdown a week or so before that, the fact we've had to let 2 cups go when we're in the quarterfinal of one and had a really promising fixture at home in the FA Cup, that hurts, and that hasn't really paid off. I don't think it's easy to say this with hindsight. You know, hey, we play a full strength team at Newcastle. They beat us 4-0. Plymouth, we win, but maybe we get 2 or 3 injuries, and we can't afford that. So it's tough shooting for Europe or aiming for Europe as our kind of ultimate goal with a squad as kind of threadbare as ours, with some key injuries. And we still had players, like Ethan Pinnock, who's been a rock at centre back for us. He's been out. Rico Henry, fullbacks have been out all season, just maybe coming back now. So I think it's disappointing, but this kind of shows the limits of our resources, right? I can't see us getting probably higher than 10th in the league anytime soon, and or making a cup run without a squad with more depth, because you've got to play your best players against you guys. You've got to perform so well for 90 minutes. Think about how tired our players were against the effort against Man City, and we kept fighting. And we kept fighting today. It's just we got sucker punched at the end. So, yeah, going out of the cups, if you want a macro picture from this winter period, losing 2 cup games for minimal results in the league kind of stings a bit.
Yeah, I hear you. Well, hey, thanks a lot for hopping on, man. I'll see you at the panel show. I know it's a tough moment to jump into a live thing after like a couple of last-minute goals, but thanks a lot, Glenn. We'll see you on Tuesday night, man. Take care.
So much.
Bye.
I didn't want to bring Brentford's hate from Sparky over here while poor Glenn is on. But, I mean, I don't know. I really enjoy – it's a team I enjoy watching, aside from Liverpool. Like, if they're on, similar to Brighton, it's a team I enjoy watching football. I'm not going to, like, stick around and probably watch, like, an Everton-Crystal Palace game because I'm trying to make better value from my time now. But if Brentford or Brighton are on, it's more likely that I'm going to stay and like watch and stuff like that. But let's go back to, I mean, obviously we have like a Champions League game coming. Salim, I think it's like if it was up to us, I assume all of us would be like, put Jones out there, Elliott out there, Gates out there. Do you see that happening midweek?
Yeah, I think so. Really? I think so. Yeah, I think so. The game. Are we guaranteed now? I mean, I know we're like there's a bunch of teams that on 13 points. We're at 18 points.
Last time they said we were guaranteed, and if we're not, it's gonna take some kind of like how they do like your playoff chances.
Right? Yeah.
He has to lose, that has to tie, this guy has to sneeze, and that guy has to fall and shit like that. So
I don't know much about Lille, but there's been a lot of good players being transferred out of there that so I'm assuming the team is good. I don't really know that much about them. However, I think it does make sense to rotate. The legs are a little heavy. Having a full week between games, I think would be really ideal for our most important players. And, game time, Glenn kept mentioning the depth of our squad, like to keep kind of a happy squad that get game time, I think is important. So yeah, I see a full rotation. I don't see why not. And I think the Nottingham game that we lost, I think was a big wake up call for Slot when the South Americans came back from international duty and he plugged them right in, and it just was a dud. So I think, and then the next international break when they came back, he gave him a rest or gave him 30 minutes or whatever. So I think he's learned that that's important. And I mean, God, it's fun as a fan, right? There's so many games to watch, like it's every 3 days, but I can't even imagine from an athlete standpoint. So I think he will do that. I think he's learned his lesson, and yeah, I think rotation will happen.
I always wonder about that. Yeah, I mean, mindset-wise, I would think they would want the games coming, right? I mean, let's face it. How many of us liked practice? It's like, it was like, can we scrimmage? So I get that part, but yeah, I mean, especially at this level with the amount of effort that goes on there, especially in the Premier League, and the other one is the Champions League. Do you expect a rotation, Sergi? I know we will like it, but I mean, Lille is like, I was just looking at it. Meanwhile, it's the 15th minute, nothing happening at the Villa game yet. They have 13 points right now. So actually, I mean, this is like a very important game for them. They're 8th right now in standing. So a point from this would be golden for them. They would definitely be coming for the win. And I know Kazi always talks about the incentive financially for the club to win. Do you have to kind of like balance? Do you think he balances it out more than he normally does? Because let's face it, he usually just makes 2-3 subs and that's it.
Yeah, I don't know. It's like you think when he should rotate and he doesn't, and I think he wants to guarantee this. Like we get first seed. I think we get seeded next round. So I think if we can push, well, I think maybe he's thinking if we can just put this to bed, then against PSV he'll probably rotate. But then who do you rotate up front? I mean, midfield, you can play Endo and Jones and Elliott, but up front, I mean, obviously you drop Salah, but then we still one Jota away. Obviously you try and play Nunez. I'd play Dan's personally, but I don't think he will. It's just hard to tell. It's like you just never know what he's thinking.
Rotation in Champions League is trickier. It's not like the FL Cup where everybody is pretty much registered. Yeah. So you have only so many players, like pool of players you can go from. But God, man, I do hope like Gravenberg and something like Mac. I thought Mac was excellent today, by the way. I love watching that dude. Like his control on the ball, and for a little dude to be how strong he is, like in like tackles and stuff like that, man. It's like he's a joy to watch. He's like a fun player to watch, and he's one of those guys that will never get credits at the end of a game because he's not as like flashy or fast or strong or whatever. But man, his control on the ball, I just like watching him play. And how he can make one pass and open up. I think he had a pass to Gravenberg that just let him like wide open, and he always sees like the next pass as the ball is coming to him. Is so well aware of his surroundings and stuff.
Yeah, I mean, technically he's awesome. Like, I mean, there's definitely some technical ability there. He's very good.
Him and Thiago, that would have been ideal.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, ideal. Yeah, Thiago would be ideal in any scenario, but yeah, unfortunately, we didn't get a lot of that. He does look like a bit. I think what difference is, obviously, he's not as good with passing as Thiago, but I think he's actually stronger when it comes to tackles and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's a joy to watch. Salim, parting thoughts on our way out over here. What do we take away from this game?
3 points.
Or updates.
Yeah, 3 points. I mean, 3 points. It's big win. We were all nervous about this one, and not 90th minute, 91st minute, 93rd minute. Darwin, always good to see him get on the scoreboard. I love the optimism that Anand has for him. I just I don't know. Maybe this ups his price to sell him. I don't know, but I don't know. But yeah, 3 points is the biggest thing. And Arsenal, probably walking out of that locker room, their legs got a little bit heavier, their minds got a little bit screwed up. So 3 points is really the big takeaway.
Anand is just happy that he gets to unfold the Nunez flag. He put it away in the drawer like months ago. He was running around last season all over the place. But Sergi, some parting thoughts from you, sir. 18th minute, by the way, it's still 0-0. And I know it's early in the season, but it's the kind of week that if Villa gets something out of this, maybe everybody will walk off the ledge, come inside the window again, and like calm the fuck down, because this could be huge if you're up. I was up by 6 points with the game in hand this late in the season, but
7 points we're ahead, and Arsenal, they need to win the Champions League games if they want to go through as well. So it was a good. I would have taken any win, and I think even though we had 37 shots and some of them shots were from way out, I think that was just desperation. I think our players were getting frustrated, and so this win on so many levels now, I think it stopped the rot of not winning games.
Yeah.
And now we can again just show we can start taking control back, and to win this game the way we did, and we just kept at it, and it now brings that feel good factor again. Where we're all like just depressed since the Man United game, and then everything that's going on off field, just adding to the frustration. So this stops the rot a lot. The Atkinson game was, it's an FA Cup game. It really doesn't matter. But this, this was huge. It was a huge game, a most important game of the season so far. And it was great. It was nice to be a Liverpool fan again.
Boys, is that another person who had the Nunez flag folded? To be fair, he didn't totally fold it and put it away like Nunez, like Anand. Anand was put away in the closet on the bottom shelf. Boys had it handy, like sitting around over there. But yeah, great win at the end. I wish it was a bit easier, but now we have maybe another 70 minutes to go through over here, and hopefully Villa gets something out of this. At least we can kind of sit back and watch, because at one point I felt if this game is a draw, it's a huge boost to Arsenal going against Villa. And I think it's like, it almost felt better that if we won 3-1 easily, like during the game or something like that, it wouldn't be as demoralizing as like how we won it here. So hopefully that kind of carries on. I'm sure Arteta is irate himself. But hey, thanks a lot for joining us today. Hit that thumbs up, like, and do the sharing. Bring others on. If you want to get involved, send us a message. We're adding more programming. So I'll be back, not tomorrow. Tomorrow's Sunday. Monday morning. And the good news, well, maybe bad news, is we'll be doing the morning coffee and tea show for every single weekday moving forward, Monday through Friday. You get to see my mug in most mornings. I will be here with the Polish Prince Monday morning. See you guys then. Enjoy the rest of your weekend, knowing Liverpool got the 3 points. Take care, everybody.
Let's go. Yeah.